Good morning. It is day number 181. Yesterday I had 24,258 steps. And today I'm retracing some steps. I'm back on track for 24,000 steps. Let me go and see if I can remember exactly the path that I took yesterday. Got that sweet video, but deleted everything. Let's find out. A little bit of action behind me. A few ambulance. Hopefully nothing too bad there. But you never can tell this time of morning. Just grateful that I'm okay. This morning, specific, but I was thinking about the idea of perfection and how, a lot of times we strive for things to be perfect. But that's just not possible. There's so many variables that can happen that just change the outcome of what you're doing that you have no control over, that you don't know aren't going to happen. And I didn't know I would go and complete a video and then delete it. But I had to figure out how to call an audible. Throw an Omaha in there, as Peyton Manning would put it, and still come out with some content, because at the end of the day, I committed to posting some content every single day. And what that requires is actually doing the action. But in the moment, I got so hung up on, things not being perfect and me not getting that content out, that I was just kind of bummed it down on myself. But then I realized this morning, wait a minute. I'm 6 months deep into an activity that I wasn't doing 6 months ago. While that isn't perfection, that's serious progress. I think that it's really important that we celebrate our wins. Things aren't going to be perfect. That is completely okay. Because every single day, we have the opportunity to try again. I mentioned there's not a tomorrow, that it's perpetually today, over and over and over again. In the previous video, yesterday I came and sat next to these two people. I talked for a little bit. We only have the experience of today, right? Just today. They agree. They're just not talking about loud, so you can't hear them. But I just have today's opportunity to show up better than I did yesterday. And that's it. Life is just a collection of todays. And once I realized that yesterday, I said, you know what? I'm not going to pout about this. I'm going to make a different kind of video. Figure out a story to tell. When it was really popular, I was watching a lot of Black Mirror, and it really got my mind working on what the future may hold. The possibility of actually living 100 years, more than right now, 200 years, because all they need to figure out is how to extend our life by 1 year. And that's it, even just one day, actually be successful in it. And then it just keeps progressing. How technology works. That technology where they can prolong our life for an extra day will become obsolete because they can figure out how to do it for a month, and then a year, and then 10 years. Just thinking about things like cancer research and how billions of dollars have went into it. Eventually, if it is their actual goal, they'll find a cure. And then imagine a world where cancer just doesn't exist anymore. Or it does, but they say, all right, well, come in for this 5-minute procedure, and it's gone. That's a future reality. There's people that are actually working on this right now as I speak on camera, because they really have the goal to cure it and not just treat it. So that's in our future. But then think of, the craziest thing that you couldn't even fathom 50 years from now happening. A lot of the things, the modern technology that we enjoy right now, you got to realize 100 years ago, like me having a camera on a stick, just having a camera for one as a common person, like, was a huge deal. But this camera is a 360-degree camera, so someone figured out how to put two cameras together and make it record, or actually appear to record in a spherical fashion. Like, that's incredible. And like this technology boom, we're still early into it, right? I mean, I remember when I wanted to go on the internet and the computer would make some funny noises, and then my mom would tell me to get off because she needed to make a long distance phone call. Like, that was just, 25 years ago? And look at where we are now. High-speed internet is the standard on your cell phone, not even at home. Long distance calls aren't a thing anymore. That's just, every call is a long distance call. I can call someone in Vegas and it doesn't cost me anymore. Now everything is unlimited. So yesterday I spoke about this art that I saw. So I'll walk a little slower through here. And I thought that, I didn't realize until I looked it up, but this is Folk Art Park. And this was all done by an artist, Blow Oscar. This folk art. It's pretty cool stuff. But it's like these pictures of animals in these meadows. Just creative people doing creative stuff. Pretty amazing. Just wanted to come back through here and show you this, and then continue on my path of retracing my steps. Today I have a plan to not delete my footage so that you actually get to see it. Learning experiences every single day. Learning that I'm not perfect, and that like everything is gonna be okay. Like, it's not the end of the world, because 6 months ago I wasn't even doing this. Look at this guy though, was enjoying his watermelon. I mean, life is literally that simple. I think that we just put so much pressure on it by trying to be perfect and make things perfect. When in all actuality, all the things that we worry about, when they don't even end up happening at all, when we wasted all that time worrying, what was it all for? In the moment, I didn't think about the fact that I could just come back out here and record this again. You would be none the wiser. If I didn't even mention it, it wouldn't have even been a thing. That's likely what I'll do in the future. It's just not even mention it, because, why? It doesn't even matter. As long as I get something out, as long as I get my goals done, where I get my steps in, that's all that really matters to me. I'm sure you guys are happy to be along for the ride, but for this journey, it's about me just getting these 24,000 steps in, which was another challenge yesterday. In my desperation to get more content out, I was short on steps. And last night, the jogging track that I mentioned a few videos ago, I had to do 50 laps on it. People were looking at me from their apartments thinking, what is this guy doing? Just keeps walking around in circles. take a couple hours, but that's what it takes. And if that's what it takes, then that's what I've got to do. Just building new disciplines, realizing new things that I just, they were there in front of me the whole time. I just didn't see them before. I was distracted by all the things that they put in our way. Social media, the news, and all this extra stuff that really at the end of the day doesn't mean anything and doesn't move the needle in a positive direction for your life. All it does is keeps you distracted from what goals you really want to reach. And then once you look up from scrolling after 2 or 3 hours, you realize that's time you could have put toward focusing on your goal. That's what the majority of this journey has been, is just realizing, opening my eyes and seeing what I've been missing this whole time. I can spin right in front of me the whole time, but my focus was on what everyone else is focusing on. And I realized that when I focus on what the majority of people are focusing on, I get their results. When I put my head down and I focus on moving forward, I get the results that I desire. It's a simple equation. It's a simple realization. But if you're constantly distracted, you don't allow yourself the luxury of thinking and figuring things out. That's just not a possibility, because, you might be focused on what the next person is doing or what the next person has and why you don't have it at this point in your life. Instead of just asking the question of, how do I get that? What do I need to do? What can I do to make my life look like that? And getting to work. Instead of scrolling to the next thing, seeing another example of someone who is living a life that you'd like to live, but you're not living it right now. The other realization is the majority of the time on social media, these people aren't really living that life. It's just a facade, built on credit. A lot of these people are spending all of their money to keep up the facade of living the perfect life, because it's one picture or one video at a time. And it's become easier and easier to put that facade up, because everything can be rented. Some things can be rented by the hour. So when you think of shots in private jets, Rolls Royces, and this and that, it's all possible to be rented for just a few hours. You make a lot of content in a few hours. Once you make that content, you got it. You post it, you're living the good life. So yesterday, when I finished at the barbecue place, because I went back. They didn't have the beef ribs, but I went back and had some brisket, and it was tasty. I didn't expect anything less, but one of the things I'm learning is, when it comes to barbecue, I want to be there earlier in the day. Unless they have meat coming out of the smoker all day long, which I believe this restaurant did. But, planning for barbecue all day long is an arduous task, because, brisket's going to take 12 to 13 hours to smoke. So for one, there's probably someone there right now because they open at 11. Just making sure the cook goes right, because you can ruin the food for the entire day if the temperatures are off. There's so much that goes into it. So I feel like going there closer to opening is a better idea for my taste buds, for my belly. which, by the way, I'm staying consistent on that carnivore diet. Looking forward to getting home and weighing in. And I didn't used to look forward to getting on the scale. As a matter of fact, I would kind of avoid it. It's like that shadowy figure that pops up when you're not looking, and then you look and it disappears. That's what the scale was like to me. But now, I actually enjoy stepping on it because I know I'm going to see some good progress. I'm like, that's a cool thing. And it's all from just doing this every single day. Not being in a rush. I walk everywhere. I don't run. And I especially walk everywhere now because I got rid of my car. So I got 100,000 subs. You know what? That idea in someone else's mind would make them think, well, I guess I'm going to be walking forever. I know it won't be long. I know it'll take as long as it takes, but it won't be long. And if it takes so long, it takes however long it takes. Like, I'm not worried about that. I'm not in a rush. I mean, I'm loving the benefit of getting out here and doing this for my cardiovascular system, you know, my overall physicality, my health, my mental clarity. I get to speak my mind for as long as I want to in the morning without distraction for the most part, you know, depending on what city I'm in. If I'm at home, walking in the suburbs, I don't really run into anybody. When I'm out, city's a little different. People everywhere. Literally everywhere. Like when I was walking through those meadows, this guy's head popped up. If I can remember to move the camera toward him, I will. But different considerations in the city versus back home. Back home, if I was working a conference on the Strip, like one of the most common occurrences is seeing people like pass down the bush, face in the bush. Like, that's enough right there to make me not want to drink ever. I'm just thinking about being that vulnerable to people from all over the world. Oh, thank you. You know, and then you have that embarrassing wake up. I've seen it where security comes and they're like, hey, and they spend 5 minutes waking this person up, and they're like, hey, you know, I know you're tired, but you can't sleep here. Person's thinking, wow, I passed out in these bushes. So I saw over the past couple of days a few cool things that I want to show you today. It was like my show and tell. Remember that as a kid? You brought like a little toy to class. And you would talk about it. You'd say like, this is my toy. And this is why I like it. This is what's cool about it. Well, while I don't consume sugar anymore, there's some presence of Coca-Cola here in Atlanta, Georgia. Red and white trees. I think they were setting up a Christmas display. World of Coca-Cola. There's a Coke bottle that's flashing, and it's cut out of grass or some kind of hedge material. I thought that was pretty cool when I saw it the other day. Let's see what kind of stuff they have set up for their Christmas display. There's always something going on somewhere, like when it comes to building stuff. Like, see if I can walk through here. Like, this is what makes this so cool. like this walking thing. You know, in the middle of the day, there's people everywhere here. And that's what I experienced yesterday. And now it's just empty. And I can come through and show you this. Slip out like a cat burglar. But like people's creativity, it inspires my creativity. I think the next time I come back, I'll go through World of Coca-Cola and see what they have to offer in there. But look at this big old bottle cap right here. Bottle cap and bottle opener. That's pretty cool. The ground feels soft. Feels like I'm walking on the moon. Yeah, it's bottle cap though. It's pretty cool. I'm telling you, man, this creativity is something else. All this stuff sparks different ideas in my mind on different things to film. Like I realize I'm slowly becoming a filmmaker and I'm getting exposed to like different ideas and different angles and ways to insert footage into my videos. I haven't figured out the timing yet, but I will. Like I think about like my journey with the things that I know right now, like the things that I know, the things that I've mastered, and the time and effort that I put into them, you know, specifically the low voltage stuff that I do. Like when I get back, I go back home today, and I've got to shoot back to California because I've split this project up into multiple trips. I went out there last week to add some wireless access points. This is a good sized house. I think it's like 7,000 square feet on 5 acres. So there's like some underground wire poles. It's when you pull wire through a conduit. Conduit's a pipe, gets buried in the ground, and the wire goes into it and comes out the other side. And the alternative to conduit is like telephone poles, where the wire is run in an aerial fashion where you can see it. So like this city has underground wiring, you don't see any telephone poles. It looks nicer. And also it protects the cables from the elements typically, if the conduit's in good condition. But this time around, I'm going back to install some of the Samsung frame TVs. And I remember the first one I installed was at a house in Pasadena on a brick fireplace. And I needed to get electrical to that fireplace as well as video and audio. And I mean, I was deep into my career at that point, at least 10 years deep. So then I looked at it and I figured out what tools I'd need and went and got them from Home Depot. I should have bought stock in Home Depot instead of buying so many tools. I just let it ride. It got so much of my money over the years. You know, I just go in there and say, that tool looks cool. And I buy it, and it's more red and black in my garage. I'm a Milwaukee fan. So if you're Makita or DeWalt, get out of my way. I got the pro grade tools, baby. But it just makes me think about like mastering something. So there will be a point where I feel like I have mastered this filmmaking thing. And all I'm doing right now is just practicing over and over and over again. You know, practicing speaking on camera while walking up hills, down hills, by people when it's empty, by cars, you know, just navigating the city and practicing for you fine folks. so that one day you will get to see, wow, this is a pretty cool shot. You'll get to see like an incredible film produced, shot, and edited by me. And that's in the future somewhere. I don't know where, but it is in the future. It's in our future if you're watching these videos. That's kind of exciting. Like, I imagine what Steven Spielberg was like on some of his first few videos. Like, until you pick up an instrument and start doing something with it, you don't know if you're going to be good or bad. But I mean, there is the possibility that you're going to be extraordinary at it and produce some of the best films ever made. It could be my reality. I don't know. Or maybe not. But I'm willing to try. And I'm willing to put perfection, the idea of perfection, to the side and just do the best that I can, because that is truly all that I can do. Yesterday when I was walking through here, I mean, a lot of times, I'm telling you, I'm a filmmaker, man. I'm scouting these locations. But I was walking through here yesterday and there were people everywhere. I think there was a Creed concert here last night. I don't know exactly where it was, but there was a concert. People were selling shirts, lots of traffic. And I think one of the biggest things I'm trying to figure out right now, I'm like addicted to B-roll now, right? So as I'm walking and I'm not doing this vlog style content, I'm just filming B-roll. Everywhere I go, I'll just stop and take, I don't know, yesterday I think I got like 12 or 13 shots of people walking, cars driving by, some cool stuff in this park, and I think this park is closed, so I'm glad I got it yesterday. It's still so hard for me to fathom that, like, the design of this city is a collection of so many people's ideas of different building shapes, parks, like gathering areas, lighting, all that stuff. Like, so much goes into the planning of these cities. But this is all a collection of people's ideas over time. Look at that, the College Football Hall of Fame. I had to do some more forearm workouts. My arms get tired holding this camera out here. It's like a little bowling ball at the end of a stick. Something you likely wouldn't walk with for 30, 40 minutes at a time. In this video, I wanted to speak about perfection, but also to show you parts of the city. One of the cool things I found out about B-roll, like one of the main purposes of it, if you're interested in filmmaking, is for one, to display different shots and to give the viewer a break from A-roll and someone speaking into camera. And you can just see what's going on around. But also it hides cuts. So like if I need to cut some video together, I can overlay it and put it over the cut, and it looks nice and natural. Oh wow, that's where the Hawks play back there. The last time I was here, I was staying at the Marriott Marquis, which is right across the street from the Hilton I'm staying at this time around. But like, I didn't really leave that area last time. I just kind of stayed in that spot, and I didn't make it over here, so I didn't know this was even here. Kind of cool. Like the things that are right around the corner that you just don't even know about. It's like a little Times Square. These really big screens. So Netflix owns like everything. They're all over the place. How cool is this billboard though? This thing's maybe like 12, 13 feet off the ground. It's massive. Like if you stood in front of this thing, it'd just give you a different perspective. If you sit in front of this thing, like you get a tan. Yesterday I was standing in front of this thing. I did get a little darker. So I think, but I'm not sure. I need to look this up. But I believe I think the Olympics were here before. They might be coming back. But when I walked through this park yesterday, some pretty cool Olympic stuff. Got some shots of the flags flying in the wind. There's a big Olympic logo when I come around the corner. I'll show you it. Let's get over that way. The big margarita glass in that building, Margaritaville. It's at the top. You know, I always say this is funny, like I'm in these locations just long enough to get used to the time zone and get back on a routine before I'm shot back to a different coast, a different time zone, where I gotta do it all over again. Kind of want to show you this big wheel. There we go. How about that big wheel? They're cool to look at now. I don't really like getting on them. The idea of getting stuck just kind of bugs me out a bit, so I stay off these rides, especially like those carnival rides that malfunction and, tip over. Paid all that money for those tickets just to get the ride of your life. Maybe the last ride of your life. I think the other cool part about this footage is just that it's gonna last forever. YouTube ain't going nowhere. YouTube is still in its infancy. It's only been around for a little while. In the grand scheme of things. I don't have a lot of regrets. One of the things I wish is that I had been to Waffle House before I quit carbs and sugars, just to see what all the hype was all about, you know what I mean? Because I have no idea. It could be some delicious food. Or maybe just a place to grab some late night. It's a Waffle House right here in front of me. See if I can cross the street. And when I was going through my footage in South Carolina, I noticed each day I was passing a Waffle House. Kind of more focused on looking around and making sure I'm not walking out in front of a car. So, sometimes I miss what's right around. Yeah, Waffle House. Looks like it's a 24-hour spot. They serve all kinds of stuff. I imagine they serve waffles. Ooh, look at this. The history of Waffle House. Back in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s. Well, look, I hope that you enjoyed this walking tour of Atlanta. My ideas on perfection and, just working on mastering this filmmaking thing and all the different things I got going on. While I can't wait to see you when all this stuff is mastered. I'm so very grateful to be going through the process, and I'm grateful to have you along for the ride. So if you enjoyed this video, leave the word Atlanta in the comments section. And I'll catch you in the next destination. I've got to go to California tomorrow, and I'll likely be back on Sunday. Then I've got to go back out to California. I've got a cruise, a little bit of fun travel. I'm not going to have internet on that cruise, so I'm working on figuring out some content for those 2 days. I'll come up with it. But until then, I hope you have a great day. I hope you get out there and do something great for yourself. Catch you in the next one. Bye for now.